Hey y'all, welcome to our BTT Ladies Book Club, our book review. This is our first one for 2025. Happy New Year to you all. Happy New Year, ladies.
Happy New Year.
I'm
Happy New Year.
so glad you guys are here tonight. And we got a lot of discussions, catch-ups to do. So I want us all to go ahead and introduce ourselves, say hello to our listeners, and then let's chit-chat a little bit before we jump into our book of the month, who, by the way, is going to be led by Miss Rianne, the hot Miss Rianne. So Rianne, why don't you go ahead and introduce yourself first?
Ooh, apparently I am the hot Ms. Rianne.
Yes, you are.
Well, we've done, is this our number 4 or number 5 for us?
I think it's number 5. You know what? We skipped a month, so we're not going to talk about that though. But yeah, this is number 4. So, so yes, and so
all right. Well, hopefully I do everyone justice by hosting this book.
I'm sure you will. I can't wait to talk about it. All right, who's up next? So we got. All right, so I'll go ahead and call on y'all. Trisha, go ahead and introduce yourself. Say hello to our listeners.
Hi, everybody. It's Trisha.
Hi, Trisha. Miss Gabby, the beautiful Gabby.
Hello, Gabby. GB, Happy New Year to everyone.
Look at that.
And I am happy to be here. Can't wait to talk book talk.
I know. Hi, Gabby.
Hello.
All right, and last but not least, what do you call her, Gabby? Who is she? The book boss, I think you call her. So where's the book boss?
Hi, this is Cynthia, the book boss. Happy New Year, everyone. Excited for tonight's discussion.
All right. Okay, so before we get into our discussion, I had a couple of books I wanted to share, but I also want to make an announcement for you ladies here at the table, as well as for our listeners, because we're going to be adding a little something for to our table, and it's going to be a different table, but it's still going to be book review related. But I don't know if you guys realize it, but there are a lot of blind or visually impaired authors out there. We have quite a few. I know quite a few, and I've seen more and more. So one of the things that we are going to start doing, and we actually have our first one scheduled. I'm going to keep that a surprise for now, but we are going to be discussing books that have been written by blind or visually impaired authors. And they are going to be joining us at the table for the book review discussion. So not only will we have read the book and discuss it, the author of that book is going to be here at the table with us. So if you guys are interested in that, just let me know, as well as any of our listeners that are out there that might want to join the table. I think this will be fun. And you know what I was wondering, guys, and I don't know what you guys think, but do you think that our opinions or would be kind of like affected by the actual author being at the table with us? Or I was like thinking, like, am I really going to tell her that this book sucked?
No, that won't
I
affect
mean,
me
I
at
would hope
all.
not.
Yeah.
I'm going to be honest about a book, whether the author is with me or not. I'll even
Right?
ask the author, what were you thinking? What was your thought process
Yeah.
when you did that? I don't like that. Or
Yeah,
I didn't think
right.
that was like true to the character or whatever, because I think that more so helps an author. I think when you try to tiptoe around them and sugarcoat things, it doesn't help develop them as an author. It's like anybody who's in a profession or
Yeah.
a skill. They need the criticism
Yeah.
in order to
Yeah.
grow.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. I think that is so true. And I still think there's not the sigh way, because sometimes when I say things it come out so harsh and brutal, and but I think constructive criticism in
Yes.
a
Yes, you have to
tasteful
be,
way.
yes, you can't
Hmm.
be like cursing at them or,
Yeah.
being rude to them, but you can
Right.
express that you didn't think, the
Yeah.
character was done very well, or whatever it is.
Yeah. And I think coming from their peers as far as in part of our community, I think that adds a little special touch to it as well, just because, you're an author, just depending in the books. And that's the thing. I don't know what the books are going to be about, but I know one of our first books is an actual book, kind of like an autobiography that is about her journey through her blindness. So I think that we as women, number one, and then going through our own blind journeys would probably find a lot of things to relate to. And I just think that it'd be fun to do that. And it's kind of also, like you said, helping out for that constructive criticism that could be useful to them in their career, even. So,
I'm looking forward to it because I don't know many blind and visually impaired authors. If I've
yeah,
read it or come
And
across it, I didn't know.
that they were,
So
yeah,
that's I'm
yeah,
curious to see and
right.
I don't
indulge.
even know
Yeah.
one.
Really? Yeah, no, there's quite a few out there, and there's some. I know I've had a couple I did on another podcast that I used to host, and she did children's books. So I mean, nothing against children's books. I love them and they're perfect, but that's not going to be the books we're going to discuss here. But I know quite a few children authors that are, do
Hmm.
children's books. So, they're out there, and guess what? We're going to find them. And if you are a blind or visually impaired author and you are listening to us and you would like for us to take a deep dive into your book and give
Or if you
uh,
want us to roast your book.
yeah, exactly, right. If you're bold enough to come and let us as Cynthia said, constructive criticism, right? Because sometimes it could be, I'm sorry, I don't like all books, and that's just the reality of it. So awesome. All right. But anyways, info@blindtabletalk.com if you know an author that is blind or visually impaired, or you are an author that would like to come to the table, let us know. So, all right, ladies, because I've been dying to tell you guys about my books too, but I'm gonna wait. Does anybody have any books that they have read these past, and now we have 2 months. So anybody read any good books lately?
I think Trisha's been itching to share.
Trisha.
I was trying to be good.
No, this ain't the place to be good. Come on, bring it.
Well, I'll only mention like two of them.
Okay,
So,
let's go.
um, there's one book I was reading called Signed, Sealed, Dead.
Oh,
Ooh.
And
oh,
it's actually really good. At
mm,
least I thought it was amazing for me. And the author's name is Cynthia Murphy. It's
mm,
really good. It's about a teenage girl. She's from London. She moves into her father's hometown, and as soon as she moves into the house, she starts getting letters that
mm,
about you should look into your house, see what's in your house. And she starts
mm,
finding out about the murders that happened about, like, I think it was 2 decades ago, or about almost 2 decades ago. And then
okay.
some murders start happening again in the same town.
Wow. Okay, sounds like a
Oh,
good
that
little
sounds like a
mystery
good
thriller.
suspense mystery.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
It's a really good book, and I would recommend it.
Okay. All right. And what is your second one?
It's Molly Hopper and One Last Thing. It's a comedy book. It's about a wife finding out that her husband cheated on her, and since he's basically been relying on her to do like all the stuff in his office, and he's been wanting her to basically email all these newsletters to everybody. She gets really drunk one night, writes the newsletter, and basically tells everybody about this affair,
Mm,
Mm.
sends it out to everybody, and it ends with "and one last thing," and it's
mm,
the aftermath of this. It's
mm.
basically her aftermath. This entire book. the after.
Now
Oh,
that sounds
okay. That
interesting.
does sound good too. It
Hmm.
does. All right. So, gosh, I had to, but anyways, I don't know. Okay. Gabby, Cynthia, or Rianne, what do either of you want to share anything you
I've been doing a lot on my Kindle. I need to get back to my Bard and Audible life, but on
Mhm,
Kindle, I've been one of my favorite authors, Kendra Sumter. I've read a couple of her new books she's dropped over the past couple of months, and a new author I've been getting into, Mel Dow,
mhm,
Mel, then Dau, for stand for Melvin's daughter,
mhm,
but she goes by Mel Dow.
mhm.
Really good author. I like her work.
What
Um,
genre?
is like romance,
Mhm.
I would say.
Yeah.
With some of her books got action and suspense in them, the storylines or whatever, but
Yeah.
overall it's going to be black love, romance, getting together, however. But
I
really good.
it's so
Hmm.
funny too, GB, because I'm not a romance book reader. I can't stand romance.
Hmm.
But
Same.
but it's certain time, like when you're romance, when it's a romance, but it's built in with like, trying to save the world type of thing, but you just happen to
Uh-huh.
fall in love too. And when it's
Yeah.
mixed in with another type of plot, I can deal with it. But
Yeah, and hers are the
yeah,
same. It's not just so,
Well,
just lovey dovey, just hearts in
yeah,
there. Oh,
I
yeah,
would
it
call
just,
that a love
yeah.
story because
Okay,
yeah,
love
romance to me is a
stories.
genre, and it's for
yeah.
me, it's cheesy.
Yeah, no, that's what I'm saying. Like, but and then
Okay,
you
well, maybe
always
she
know
write
the
love
end.
stories
You
because
always
I
find
can
out the
relate it to
end.
that. Hmm.
Like, when I mean, the ones that are like, boy meets girl, girl doesn't like boy, boy tries to get girl, and then they end up together type of thing. Those are the ones
Yeah.
that just irritate me. And the whole thing is misunderstandings and why you can, and somebody comes and messes up and it's just all very predictable.
Hmm.
But I think that, these ones, and I've been noticing that a lot of the um, annotations in Bard, they'll say romance, but it's not typically what I would call a romance. But
Yeah.
okay. So awesome, Male Dow. That's a cute name too, especially for what
Yeah.
it stands for. I love that. Um, all right. I did I tell you guys, I don't know if you guys read Frida McFadden. Or any of you Frida
Oh, some of
McFadden?
her books, yeah.
Okay, so I've done two of her books recently. Now, the first one I did was Ward D, which was not her best to me because I'm just funny like that. And it's all, I typically don't like books that happen all in one night. And she's been doing this a lot lately with the one night
Mm.
books that just, everything happens just one night. But the reason why I can deal with it is because it usually takes you back to the individual people's story that's, beyond that one night type of
Hmm.
thing. So
Mhm.
that one was a good one. And then the other one that I read was called Boyfriend. And that one, this one was a good one because there was a killer that her friend, the lady's friend, ended up dead in the apartment, and she was dating this mystery man, and he starts the story. They both tell the story. It comes from her point of view and the killer's point of view. Well, then, what we think is the killer's point of view or whatever. But it has a twist that I was like, whoa, I didn't see that coming. And I love books like that. So, and without telling you guys, the story, that's a good read. And right now, a new book just came out from hers that I'm reading now. And I'm kind of like, it's called Baby City. It was just released like the other day. Um, and this is about it's a hospital and that has the maternity ward is called Baby City, and I guess there's supposed to be a bunch of stuff going on there. So I don't know how this one's going yet, but I've been on a serious Frida McFadden kick. But um, I do have one more. Sorry, just one more, and this is from Mary Monroe, and I don't know if you guys have um, know who that is. I'm sure you probably do, Gabby, but Mary Monroe, she's out there, and she she does a lot of series, and there was one series that she did called I think God ain't and something about God ain't blind. It's a whole series of them. I can't remember it off the head, but it's called Double Lives, and it's about a set of twins that are always switching place and trading places. They can fool everybody apparently. Like they had boyfriends that they switched places with, and then at the end, something tragic happened, and it was kind of like another twist that you didn't see coming. But that was another good one that I read. So it's called Double Lives by Mary Monroe, and it was part of the Mrs. Wiggins series that she has. She has another series that it is. So, but it's a standalone. It's just kind of like the whole thing. And it actually takes place in the like early 1900s, 1930s or something like that. But it's a really good book. So that those are all my I've been reading a lot, I'm telling you. So which I'm sure we all have because, and it's cold now and I don't want to go outside. So I'm sure I'm gonna be reading a lot more in these next coming weeks. I'll tell you that.
I have an interesting one that
Okay.
was different, especially for me to read, although it still was mystery, suspense, thriller.
Mhm.
It's by Faith Gardner. I actually read two by her, but the one I really liked was called The Prediction. I don't know if anyone has read that one. And it's about
Mm.
a lady who moves across the country to be with her new husband. They have a new baby, and there are a lot of unfortunate things going on in that household. And the
Mm.
lady is not in the best place mentally, and her husband brings home a device, kind of like Miss A up here. I don't want to get
Mhm.
everybody's talking,
I
but
know.
think about Miss A on steroids, like Miss
Hmm.
A that can I don't she did some things. I don't want to give the book away, but think about
Mm.
AI to another level, but it's still just a device like Miss A up here. But
Mm.
she did a whole lot in that book, and if you read it, I would love to discuss it, offline. But
Yeah.
it is a very good book. Again, it's Faith Gardner. It's called The Prediction, and then she wrote another one right after that called Violet is Nowhere. It also has an AI component, and that one was also very good. But I definitely like The Prediction of the best of the two books.
Ooh,
Okay, that's
I think I want to read
Oh,
that one. That sounds
yeah.
good. Are we talking, is it
yeah,
like in the
please share that in the
future?
group.
Yeah, please do. Is that in the future though?
No,
Like,
it's
or
not. It's like right now. Like
really?
think just after the pandemic.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of people had
Mm.
mental health things going on,
Yeah.
right? After the pandemic. So I'm
Mm-hmm.
thinking like 2023, around
Mm.
about then
Oh,
is
nice.
when the book is
Okay.
set.
Oh, yes. All right. Yes,
It's
please
not
share that.
futuristic or anything. It's
Right.
like a right now book.
Awesome. Well, share that because I that does sound kind of good. I don't know if y'all are like me. I was saying it earlier. I hate finding my next book to read. It's so much easier if somebody just sends me a book because I will sit there. It'll take me the other night I fell asleep trying to find a book and I never found just because they're all so good and I have to go and read annotations and summaries and all this stuff. So anytime you guys get a good book, drop it because it's so much easier to just say, oh, I'll read this one next. So all right. Okay. Anybody else? Because it's time, y'all. I'm time.
It's time.
Rihanna, are you ready?
I'm ready.
All right. Rianne, let's go. Let's start by telling your book and your
All
author
right.
and do a little summary so that our listeners can have an idea of what we are discussing.
Okay, so we have had ample time to get this book read, and the
Right.
book we are going to discuss this evening is called Codename Helene by Ariel Lawhon. Now, Codename Helene, it is sort of historical fiction. It's based on the true life of a journalist from New Zealand named Nancy Wake. So, Nancy Wake goes to France as a journalist for actually a real publication called Hearst magazine, I believe it was. It was either a newspaper or a magazine. Um, and you get to hear about her, so many elements of her life. For example, what it's like to be a woman during that time as a journalist, some of the struggles she goes through with that, some of the adventures of chasing down a story just to get an interview. There's a little bit of love story happening in this book. There is a lot of action. She does some cool, badass things also. The dynamic of a woman being in a war setting with commanding other soldiers and whatnot, that was part of the story too. So without further ado, let me start asking you guys what your overall impression was. Can I start with you, Cynthia?
Yes, thank you. So I love this book, Rianne. Thank you for choosing it. It is a time period that I've always been very interested in, and I love hearing different perspectives from that time period. And this one was a unique perspective. And it definitely went on my top 10 for books concerning World War II, excuse me. And so I really enjoyed this book, and I think the author did an excellent job with the characters, the plot. I was able to follow it really well. It was a really dynamic book, and it really kept you um, turning the pages, so to speak. You wanted to know what was going to happen next. It was almost like a mystery inside of a historical book. It was wonderful.
Great. What did you think, Abby?
I really like the book. I don't know if I ever would have come across it on my own, but I love the fact that it was long. I love a good read, and she was such a. It was good to see, like, in a sense, a diva for back in that time and doing what she did. Um, I don't know. I just really enjoyed it. I'm happy you turned me on to a new author and a great read, and yeah, I liked everything about it though. I really did. So
Awesome. Great. Sai, what did you think?
I knew you were gonna. I couldn't wait for you to get to me. So thank you. I
Just going
love this
alphabetical.
book. I loved it. And you guys know I'm so, I'm usually the one that's like, yeah, it was all right. No, I loved this book. And it was, and with even when Gabby said the whole diva, the badass, like who gets ready to jump out of a freaking plane but has to put lipstick on first? Like that was just like the
I can
craziest
see you doing
thing.
it.
I know, right? That's why I love her. It was just so, but the things that she went through, knowing that it was a true story. When they're true stories, and the book is going, even though I did find out at the end, I think one of the authors noted that there was things that were added, to make
Hmm.
a little bit better of a story thing, but the most important stuff was true. And I just think that um in that time women were so like not valued the way that they should have. A woman was not meant to be doing some of the stuff that she was doing, that
Hmm.
she did. And I think that just shows, there was one part, and I'll talk my favorite part of the book, and I'll save that for later. But I loved it. I thought that it was very well written, and I think it touched on so many different areas of that. And I was on suspense, like, are they going to make it? Is it going to happen? Is it going to go through? What's going to happen? And I love books like that. So I actually loved the book. I thought it was great. And I can't wait to discuss like more specific types and details about the story and what happened. But yes, that was it.
Oh, okay, great. I'm happy to hear that. I really am. And over to you, Trish.
I loved it. I absolutely loved it. Even though like some parts I was like, I still loved it. I liked how badass she was. I love how she's like, I'm gonna get my husband. I just loved her attitude, even though she didn't always want to do something. Yeah, I got this. Even when the men were like, yeah, are you sure? Yeah, I got this.
Yeah, she was very brave.
Oh, she scared the men. She just scared them. I just loved
Yeah.
it. I love how like she just controlled all of the men around her. They're like, you think you can go after her? Let's see you try.
Yeah.
She had around her little finger. It was just so, I loved it.
Yeah, she definitely demanded and commanded respect, and she did what she had to do to get it. And I loved that about it too. Like she made sure that she got the respect that she deserved, and she respected them, as well. But I love the way that she just, you know what, yeah, I'm a woman, but I'm amongst a bunch of men, and I'm gonna get the respect that I deserve. And I loved how she did that.
Oh yeah, she didn't just ask for it; she demanded it and
Yeah,
like took it.
yeah. She did.
Loved
At
it.
a time where a lot of women would be fearful to be that bold
Yes.
and make
Yeah.
that stance to men. But I mean,
You,
but she was
yeah.
she was pretty too. So I'm sure it didn't take much finessing
Right. And
for
but
her
it's crazy.
those guys.
Her looks and her attitude and her demeanor, the way she was. I think it was the what I loved about it is because in that time, and well, hell, and even in sometime, you're supposed to be the pretty wife that doesn't do anything and say anything, and you stay
Hmm.
at home cooking and taking care of your family, and you want to work. Oh, you can go be a seamstress, something like that. But I just I love that she wanted so much more out of it. And the fact that women in that time, I don't know if you guys paid attention to this, but it kind of frustrated me that she went through all the work that she went through to write these articles, and because she's a woman, her name she would never get
Ah,
recognized for
Yeah.
yes, that's my
the.
first discussion
Oh,
question.
I'm sorry. Go. I'm sorry. Go.
No, you're
Sorry.
perfect. You're perfect. You're walking us right into the first discussion
Yeah.
question.
Mm.
So she had an argument with her editor where she got hired to write for Hearst, but under the agreement that we're not going to post a byline with your name because we don't publish women. Where they won't, we're not going to post a byline, or you have to choose a male pen name, which she refused to do. And the discussion question is, and I borrowed this from the Penguin Random House website. Sorry.
I love that. I love that though. I love those.
What would you do? Would you choose to have no name on it, or would you come up with a pen name as a woman if you were put in that position?
Ooh.
This is Cynthia. I kind of thought about that, Rianne, when I was reading it. But because of the subject matter that she was trying to expose to the world, I would choose to go with no name and have him just publish it with nothing, rather than even have a male pen name, or risk not having it published at all, because she was trying to expose something that needed exposure. And to this day, thanks to her and other journalists like her, we know what happened. There's pictures, there's articles. We wouldn't have those things if the journalists hadn't been fearless and got out there and got those stories. So I'm grateful to her and those like her for getting this out there.
Yes. Does anyone else have a different opinion?
I don't have a different opinion, but I do want to say a different reason for not, because I would rather have no name, because at the end of the day, there's no way that anybody would ever know that that man's name was her, right? So
Hmm.
why give recognition to a fault, someone that's make believe, and people are looking for this man. But then, so I'm saying that, but then on the flip side, I'm like, well, what if she did give a man's name, and then people in the future would be able to recognize, because without any name, nobody would ever know who that was. And of course, nobody's thinking at that time, well, in the future, they'll probably be able, things will change, and will be able to be recognized. But now she can't even say that. I wrote those articles under the name of, John Doe, and that's
Hmm.
all me. So now she'll never get the recognition for those articles, even, in the future or anything. So I I would have probably said no name, not thinking, because I wouldn't know the future. But looking back now, I'm like, dang, if she would have been able to put that, pen name, and at least we would be able to go back and find all of the articles with John Doe and know that they were her.
Exactly. That's how I feel about it,
Mhm.
is that it's difficult to historically trace her work when there's no name on it at all. but
Yeah.
I think she did it for the cause and not the applause.
I definitely, I did definitely think that, and that shows with the steps that she took. With she'd rather take her work away from people that want to publish it and not give her the recognition. And she was like, I can do this on my own.
Oh
Mhm.
yeah,
Yeah.
she really did say that. She's like, well, if
Mm-hmm.
you're not going to publish the story, I'm going to find somebody,
Mm-hmm.
and somebody will publish this story.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah. So.
So fun. So just to throw in something fun before like we move on to more of the book. So Adolf Hitler was not really talked about much in the book, like as he's not a character in the book. But because it's World War II, he's there.
Mm-hmm.
It's like
Yeah.
thwarting everybody in the background. He hated women who wore makeup.
Mm.
So as sort of a backlash, all of the ally countries started wearing and passing out as like with your rations. You made by Elizabeth Arden. Back then, I think it was called Lizzie Arden. This particular shade of red lipstick called Victory Red. And to show your support for the Allies, you would wear your Victory Red lipstick.
Mm.
Um,
Mm.
so I absolutely love that touch in this book. I love it. I went out after I read this book the first time and I tried to find some lipstick that was that particular color. I
Mm.
wore it for you ladies this evening. I hope you like it.
Oh, thank you. Yes, that is so
um,
beautiful.
And I have to admit, it does make you feel confident to have a bold red lip.
Nice. Yeah, I love red lipstick. I know Cynthia even wears red lipstick. Like I just thought that was it does, and giving that confidence, which is why she did it. And anytime she dealt with some a serious situation, she made sure she had on that lipstick, and I thought that was cute. That was just the cutest thing.
I do love it. It's
Mm.
cool. Um, okay,
Okay.
so another characteristic about her that I thought was an interesting discussion question was she swears and cusses a lot. And I thought it was really cute how when she and her husband were dating, she made him teach her how to cuss like a man.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And that was just something my mom always said to me was like, Rianne, it does not sound becoming at all to hear those words come out of a lady's mouth.
Especially in those days too. And I think that's what, and even him when when she was telling him, he was like, I don't want to teach you those words. It's like, no, I want to know what those words are and what they mean. And I love it because she used them throughout the book and she used them appropriately, by the way. And this coming from a cusser, I am a cusser. So one thing that is just the absolute worst for me, I mean, on top of the fact of cussing in itself, because that's not necessarily a good thing. And it's definitely not ladylike, but knowing how to cuss accordingly, using it in the right ways and using it the right where I thought that was so just part of her, who she was, and I loved it. And yeah, and it came in handy a few times.
And what did you ladies think about her learning how to drink?
I Okay, ladies, you guys gonna keep letting me just talk about it because
Yeah.
I have something else
No,
I
I
want to
think
say
it
about that.
was okay. I have something to say about this. I think it was really interesting and it was really well for her to learn how to drink because that way she could drink with the guys and she showed that, yeah, I can drink you under this table easily.
So for those of
Good
you out there in listening land, um, Nancy could not hold her liquor. She was like
sip
a
of wine.
toucan Sam,
Yeah.
what they say like nowadays.
Yeah.
Yeah. And a teetotaler. No, no, that's if you don't drink at all. A lightweight.
Yeah.
And her husband sat her down and taught her the rules of drinking. Like you don't mix cross
Don't
streams, he
mix
called it. But
liquors.
yeah.
For every drink you drink a glass. So I took tips.
Yes.
I'm let me know.
Oh,
I'm just
absolutely.
telling
The
you.
body
I
temperature
learned.
thing, that was important.
Yes, but
Mhm.
what's even better is that she actually used it when she was,
Exactly.
she
When she
went,
Just
was
like the
doing,
she,
cussing.
and yeah, and
yeah.
they were like, how the hell, you should be on your on the floor right now as much as she drank. But she excused herself and went to the restroom, and then she went and found water and drank water. Like they didn't even see all of that. So when she just was able to hold the liquor, and they're all sitting there drunk, and it was used to her benefit. And all of it was like the cussing, the drinking, it all played
Yes,
a
it helped her
part
gain
in.
the respect of the men
Mm-hmm.
that she was leading in
Exactly.
France.
Yeah.
Yeah. So she ends up being quitting her job as a journalist, and kind of there was a little time there where she was driving an ambulance, or a makeshift ambulance, made out of a truck, that her husband gifted her as a wedding gift for that purpose. And then she ends up being working for British intelligence to help
Well,
the resistance.
she was driving it though to smuggle.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah. So she wasn't like driving an ambulance because she was going to like do medic and be like that. It was kind of like a reason for a way for her to help smuggle people out of the country to safety.
Yeah, she did
And
a
so
little bit of everything.
she did. She was just all over the place. I loved it. And the thing is, and I hope I'm not stepping on any questions, but one of the things that I loved about it was that her freaking husband supported her so much in what she did. Like he never tried to stop her. He never was like, if this is not what you're like I'm sure he was worried, which as he should have been, but he knew that was important to her to help these people and to be a part of this. And so he never really put that, because I'm sure at the end of the day he probably could have put his foot down, but what did he do instead? He buys her a damn ambulance to help her. I just thought his support in this whole situation was so good. And
I hope that that part wasn't fictionalized.
I know, right? I know.
He never questioned her either.
No.
He
Yeah.
called when she was trying to help her friend get out of jail.
Mm-hmm.
He
Oh
called and
yeah.
said, "Hey, I need this much money," and he says,
50,000.
"Okay,
Yes.
I will send you this money right now."
Yeah. And
No
that's
questions
the
asked.
thing to note too, is that they were, that he was very wealthy. He was very wealthy. And it's so that I mean she didn't have to do this stuff. She didn't do this for money. She didn't do this for anything. She did this because this is what her heart led her to do.
And I
So
think that's why they did so well together,
mhm,
because I think
mhm.
both of their hearts were in the same place and in the right
Yeah,
place.
right.
And their approach might have looked a little bit different. Like he was actually a soldier. She
Yeah.
was too, to be honest. And so,
Yeah. At the
but
end of the day.
but he was willing to stay home too and let her go out. And a lot of
Yeah.
men wouldn't have even dreamt of being
Yeah.
subservient in that capacity in
Right.
that day and age. He was more like a house husband.
Yeah,
And
that's true.
she, well, almost, I know he still kind of worked at his family's company, but she was really the one out there doing,
The man work
physically
the
doing
labor.
stuff,
Yeah.
putting her life at risk and
Yeah.
things like that. And he was content, and he didn't feel some type of way about it or
Yeah.
anything. He
Yeah.
was a wonderful and perfect partner for her.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah,
That
absolutely. Gabby, thoughts on her husband?
I liked her husband. I'm gonna be honest, I didn't make it all the way through. So I don't want to indulge too deeply because I'm still in the middle of it and it's shameful because I should be
Girl,
past it. I know I
It's a
should be,
very
but
tell me who
it's
go finish
there's no
it.
plot armor in this book. There's no plot armor. A lot of cool
yeah.
things happen, but some
mhm.
Yeah.
sad things happen too.
Yeah, it does. It is a book that I mean, I when I was reading it, I got nervous. I'm like, am I really gonna want to read this book? But it actually pulled me in right away. It pulled me in really quickly, and I thought that it was because there was some different avenues and different angles. So there's more than just about that, and I can't wait till you get to that other woman too. By the way,
Oh,
um,
that's my next
yeah,
topic.
okay,
I want to say, ladies, now
yeah,
let's get down to the nitty gritty. Let's talk
yeah,
about that huzzy ex girlfriend.
I
yes,
was so
because
glad that you got her.
yeah,
What did Trish say?
I said I was glad she got shot.
Oh,
yeah.
okay.
No, but
I
not
couldn't
only
hear
was
you.
I glad she got shot, I was glad of that she came face to face with her. At this time when that happened, we didn't know, the situation with the husband. And I think
No,
she
we
said
didn't.
we did not.
No.
He did not. But you know,
Mm.
she deserved what came to her. But was it that serious? Like she tried so hard. She wanted him to want her so bad. But my key point with that is that there are, you know, and I'm always, because I'm the sappy one about love and all men cheat and all men are losers and all this type of stuff, right? Not all men are losers, okay? Don't come for me, listeners.
No.
I'm just saying, just talking shit. That's all. But he was so faithful to this woman, and I mean, to the point where she was damn near torturing him, and all he had to do was, he could even lied and said, okay, I want to be with you, I, you know, whatever, just to get out of being tortured. And he just was so faithful to, and even when his dad came in there and was like, you know, give her up, please, you know, they're gonna kill you. And he was just, the loyalty, I'm so big on loyalty, you guys. And
Me too.
the
Mm-hmm.
Mhm.
loyalty he showed
Mhm.
to that woman, I'm like, oh, I want a husband like that. That, it
Yeah,
was
it was.
just so,
He
oh,
was he was even willing to sacrifice the relationship between himself and his father to
sure
be
was.
loyal to
Yep,
his wife and to defend his wife. He wasn't
That's how
willing
it
to
should
let his
be.
dad make him accept
exactly.
the other woman. He didn't
Yeah,
want her. He didn't want anything to do with that other woman. And even,
no.
when his dad tried to push the lady on him, he
Hmm.
was willing to kind of like back off from his dad. I don't think they had
Yeah,
much of a relationship after him and Nancy got,
yeah,
serious with each other.
yeah. And they kept trying to tell him like, she's a traitor, she's this, she lies, she did this. But he never, his loyalty never, and correct me if I'm wrong, but you know how sometimes when people, they have the thoughts in their head, I don't think I ever heard him say, well, maybe she is. I never heard his
No,
loyalty waver at
me
all.
No,
either. Never.
Yeah, I just
he
thought that
his
that was
wife.
so, yeah,
I really wish he got on that train with her. I really wish he got on that train with her.
yeah, I know. Me too. It's really sad what happened. I just, thought that, well, anyways, go on. What's next, or who's next? Anybody else? Because sometimes I get so mad about stuff too. But it is
Well,
funny
that's
that,
a good thing when the book can pull that emotion out of
I
you when
know,
you want
right?
it to be
Yeah.
different and you fuss with the authors like, why did you
Yeah,
have to do that? Could we did this
exactly.
another way?
Yeah, exactly. Because
Yeah.
that woman was so, I mean, she was so aggressive and she was beautiful, but her
Such a
mind, and
scorpion, though. Like,
yeah, she was exactly, that's
She got her
exactly what,
shit.
and evil, because that's what, I mean, she was for, I don't even know what her purpose was or what she was trying to do, but she ended up working, with them and being on the other end, but she's just
yeah,
was not.
she was helping the Nazis.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
That's why
And
her head was shaved.
Yeah.
what,
After
Trish?
they shaved her head.
Yeah.
That, that means she was on the other side.
So
Remember,
yeah,
that's
that
what
is
the
what that
women used
meant.
to do to
Yeah.
Do, do
traitors.
you think that she was heartbroken that Henri didn't choose her? Or do you think this was all done
No.
out of spite and
No, it's
jealousy?
ego. I think it was ego. I don't think she loved
Ego and
him.
spite.
She didn't love him. She was jealous that he loved her. The more he professed his love for Nancy, the more pissed she got. That's all it was. It wasn't because now it's beyond that. Now it's because he will not choose me. And that is a very
Come
hard
on, daughter.
pill to swallow. So I think a lot of it was her ego. She felt like jilted, you know.
Yeah.
But yeah, I don't know. I knew she was trouble from the beginning. I really
Oh
Yeah,
did. I
yeah.
seen that coming, especially when they were at the dinner. And I
Oh, that
love
was a
when
good scene.
because Nancy was like, let's cut the chase. Like, I know, like that stuff, but she played her role so well. Like, she was a pro, when the time was her to be that loving wife, that's who she was. But when those men left out, remember when they left the table and they went outside? she was
Yeah.
like telling her like, look, I'm not gonna sit here and act like everything's okay. Get over it. He doesn't want you. And I love that she was so soft and dainty woman-like, but she was still bold, and she didn't mince her words, and I like that about her.
I like when she insulted her and said something to the effect of, you got it all or whatever. Don't you got enough money to get a decent bra? Like
Yeah. Oh yeah,
it
she
was
did
I
say that.
laughed
Yeah, she's a
hysterically because like
secretary, and she
her
said you.
chests were like hanging
Mhm.
all out of her dress. He was like,
Yeah,
"Don't you
she
got enough money
did.
for a bra?"
She did say that was funny. Yeah.
That was who does that? Like, that's
Right.
disgusting. Like, speaking of
Yeah.
the time period, I mean, I don't even know very many women that would do that in this day and age, to wear like a
Yeah.
silk blouse buttoned
Yeah.
down to in between the ladies and no bra in
Yeah.
the
I know.
winter.
Yeah, she did. But she did that the whole time. If you remember, even when we first met her at the little ball thing where when he sent her home, she dressed it very scantily the whole, like every time that she appeared, but with the exception of after the war, that started. But she was trash. She thought that her body and it was what everybody wanted and her way of getting what she wanted, and it just didn't work with Nancy's husband. And I can't remember his name. What was, because I didn't like the French names, by the way.
It was
It's
So
Henri.
Henry,
I
but they say
read,
Henri.
Yeah,
because
It was
Henri.
Andres.
yeah,
Remember
but
everyone was Henri Andreas?
yeah, well, there was two guys
Yeah.
that I kept getting confused because their names sounded almost like they were like this, sounded the same the way they said it with the accents. It was like RVE and RVU. Like they sounded the same. I didn't know who the hell they were talking about sometimes. That was funny
That's
though.
okay.
Nancy even made a joke in the book. She was like, "My God, do all French mothers name their son the same thing? Like,
Oh,
why
okay.
is
Yes,
everybody
that's
Henri this and
right.
Henri that?"
Yes,
Yeah.
exactly. Because
That's what I'm saying.
exactly. Yeah. All
Yeah.
right. Rianne. And then, okay, wait. I'll wait till you. What's next?
So that scene where Nancy has to trek through the Pyrenees Mountains and then ride that bike for like 72 hours.
Oh
Um,
my God.
do you there was a question I thought would be an interesting one to pose. Do you think if it was for a cause like that you would have been able to do that? Would you have had that endurance and that kind of grit?
I would.
No.
I think I would. I'm generally a passionate, emotionally driven person to begin with. And so if I had gotten into a situation, it probably wouldn't be this exact one, but I had to do something really hard for a really good cause. I could see myself doing something like that.
Yeah. I can too. Now, here's the thing, and I have to be honest, is that I can say it all day long. Because I do get very passionate about stuff. And if it's for a good cause and I do want to help people and I want to make a difference and all that good stuff, right? But when it comes down to it, I mean, would I give up? I would think I would. I would hope I wouldn't, but dang, that girl, jeez,
She
I don't
went
know.
through a
Yeah,
lot. She was
Yes,
bleeding. She
she
was
did.
her
all
feet.
bruised and blistered. And
I'm just saying, and I would hope that I would, but I mean, I'm just thinking like, like, you know what?
but if you think about it, Saida, she may have said the same thing to herself. She might
Yeah,
have said when she was younger, I hope I do something like that.
right,
She
yeah,
didn't know. Sometimes you don't know the
and
strength you have or the
right,
capacity
yeah,
you have until
yeah,
you're called on to actually put your
to
money
do
where your mouth
exactly,
is,
right, yeah,
basically.
Yeah.
yeah, that's
Hmm.
true,
When you're
yeah,
called on, you'll be like, my God, I did that. When you come out of
yeah,
the other side of it, you're like,
right, yeah.
wow.
Yeah, I would love to have that strength that she had doing that stuff. And even we're talking about it, but we're not even giving it the justice that it's due. Like listeners, I mean, this is something worth going to read because this woman went through some stuff and
She
seen
did.
some stuff. Remember the pregnant lady with the baby that got cut out?
Oh God.
I mean,
Oh
She
my God, that's
seen
horrifying.
some stuff that would make me be like, I am not dealing if these
Yeah,
people
like
are
can I
that
even function as a human being after looking at
yes.
something like that? Oh,
Yes. And I just am like, and but I like and the question I like would like to think that I would do all of that, but geez, I just the stuff that she's seen, I'm just like, oh my God. And then the boy, I don't know if you bring him up later, but that boy with the fingers that got cut off,
Oh yeah.
that blown off, he, and got fingers cut off and shot. Didn't he get shot too? Like this, and I'm like thinking, damn, this man right here is 9 lives because he's gone through some
he
stuff.
kept
The one
coming
with the
back,
stutter,
Yeah.
man. He
Jean.
was
Yeah.
he was a
Uh,
true soldier.
yeah. No, not the one that stutters. The other one with the wife. I'm talking about the one with the wife that
Oh,
that
okay. I
he
thought that was Sean because he
no.
asked her to give a note to his wife, and when she did, she decided not to tell her about his fingers.
Yeah. That his name wasn't Sean. Sean was the body
Okay.
her friend. That was
All
like
right, well then I have to agree with you, ladies. I'm getting the names mixed up too.
yeah, I know. See,
And they
but
were
Maybe.
all French too.
yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, Sean was the one that stuttered, but she protected him too, and he was loyal to. Remember, he got mad. He was like, "No, I'll go," because she was trying. And that's the thing. She stepped up to do all the tough stuff, which
Yes,
was
she did.
crazy.
She didn't just command them to go do it. She was
Yeah,
right in the
no,
trenches with them.
which made them respect her even more, and that's what I loved about it because she just, she was willing to do it, and I'd have been like, "Yeah, no, Sean, you got this. Go ahead, handle that,"
And
So
what I love about her is even in the midst of the most grittiest, yuckiest, harshest thing on earth, she still had a human touch. You know how her friend, the radio operator, had lost his lover. That's the person
yeah,
that got.
yeah,
She still held her
yeah.
tongue. She didn't want to tell
Yeah,
him at a bad time.
right.
Even
Yeah,
in the midst of all she had to handle, she wanted to give him that news when they were
yeah,
alone and when she could comfort him and things like that. It was the most
Yeah, and not
touching
out
thing
him
to me.
too.
She
yeah.
was a
No, she never
wonderful
outed
friend.
him. She was.
She
I mean, it's
didn't. She
just
never outed
classy. She
him.
was so and that's what I'm saying. She was a good-hearted person,
She
and
was.
a very good
Yeah, she
friend.
was classy.
Yeah,
She
I just think it
was.
was classy. She was classy. She handled those situations. She was very sensitive to what her friends were going through, and even like I said, the wife, she did, the lover that died, she didn't tell him. The wife, she didn't go, oh, yeah, well, he lost his hands, he's lost his fingers or whatever. She didn't, especially she was pregnant, and she was very, you know, when she promised something, she really came through. It was important for
Did.
her to come through on stuff. I love that loyalty. I mean, that it was loyalty was in this book throughout and on many ways, even with the missing finger boy that lost his fingers, like he was even loyal to her, and Sean was loyal to her. They were the loyalty in it was just awesome.
It's
Everyone was loyal to her.
rare. Sorry,
Mm,
what, Trish?
Everyone became loyal to her.
I
Yeah,
know.
she had to prove herself for sure,
Yeah,
but she did a good job. But it's really rare to find um, female historical figures that are like just such amazing heroines, and
yeah.
um, that I really appreciated this book. And so had anyone ever heard of Nancy Wake before this book?
No,
Me
No.
either. So
no,
I found it by accident, actually. I don't
no.
even remember how I found the book, but so for all the horrific things that were described, because war is just heinous and awful and
Ugh,
tragic, um, there were still like these moments of just deliciousness in the book because she's in Europe and the author um, did a really good job at including little details that made me feel like I was there.
mm,
So, for example, the drinks, um,
yeah.
like the French 75. To this day, I have
Mm-hmm.
not tried one, but I'm like, I want to
Mm-hmm.
try that one day.
Yeah.
I want to try all the food that they
hmm
described.
yeah. Yeah,
Yeah.
it was very well written as far as putting you in that time. And that's what a good book is, right? A good book is when you're reading it and you feel like you're there. because that's, it puts you, because of the description that is used is like, oh, well, I've never been to Paris, and for me, I will use stuff like that and speak on a discussion about Paris, and oh, well, they have the French 75. I mean, I've actually been there before, right? So that's how much detail was shared about this stuff. And I like that part about it too. Yeah, that was a good.
For me, I really, really, this is a guilty pleasure, but I love books that really do well at describing food and people's clothing.
Yeah, right. And they did good on both. So it
So,
was awesome.
I guess at this point, I want to ask everybody, like, what was your favorite part?
Ooh.
Mm.
Okay. Well, I'll go first because I did. Um, sorry, I just threw myself out there to go first. But because I was saying I actually have a lot of favorite parts, but I'm gonna tell you, and I hate that my favorite part is actually the end of the book because there was a lot of parts in there that stood out. But when I when I actually get like chills about something or like goosebumps about something, it makes me almost want to like, because I don't really cry at books like that, but almost like, oh my gosh, that was just awesome, is when at the end of the book, um, there, somebody came, I guess, and rang the doorbell like that. They want to see you, and I'm thinking like, oh my God, they're gonna kill her. They're gonna get her. And she goes outside and the whole freaking army, all of the soldiers are standing out there and they salute her. And that was such like I was just like, oh my God, that felt so good to see all these men give her that respect after all that she'd been through. And these are men that not only gave her that respect, but would still in that moment and in the future still die for her. And she had a whole, I don't know how many there were, but it was not just 5 or 6. There was a lot of them. And these men that are willing to fight for this woman. And in this day is very uncommon because, like I said earlier, women aren't anything, right? They're not supposed to be these leaders, especially of an army, which is a man's thing to do. And those men giving her that respect at the end, it warmed my heart really,
It's very
really.
cathartic, yeah.
Yeah, it did. I loved that part. And I felt like how good she would have felt. And in that moment, she said it, like she felt good. And just showing that respect to her after all she had went through. And this was after she found out about, the death of her, whatever, and all that stuff. And I just thought and so that was my favorite part.
Nice. That's a good one. That's a good choice. What about you, Cynthia?
Are you asking for my favorite part of the book?
Yes.
It's a hard part of the book. But one of my favorite, I think I have more than one. That's the
Yeah,
issue.
that's what me too.
But
That's
one of my favorite parts is, you already talked about it, Saida, is when they have her husband kneeling down on the ground and they're telling him, you idiot, basically,
yeah.
why don't you denounce her and live? And he won't, and he just bowed his head and thought of her and died with such dignity.
Oh, I love that. That was a
He
good
died
part.
with such dignity that
Loyal.
it made me cry. I am a
Yeah.
crier, and I
Yeah.
cried several times during the book, but that one moved me because even in the face of his own death, and I know we've been talking about what we would do and what we wouldn't do, and we
Yeah.
knew we were about to die, it was imminent,
The
would we have
gun
the
was to
courage to
his
stay
head.
loyal? Yeah.
The gun was to his head, and all he had to do was say,
Oh,
denounce her, and he would not. And he died with that loyalty on.
yes.
I loved it. Was that
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 was one of
wasn't
my favorite
yes.
parts, and it made me
Yeah.
bawl like a baby. But
Yeah.
I loved it.
Yeah. Me too. That was a good one.
Very
Yeah.
powerful.
Yes. Trish, what about you?
Okay, this is one of my favorites, I should say, is when they storm the hotel. Where when all the leaders or the people with the whips and stuff,
Yes,
Mhm.
the
Mhm.
Nazis
Yes. Hmm.
when they storm that friggin' hotel and she just happens to be
in the
in
elevator with him.
in the elevator with the guy she's been like focused on
Wolf,
the almost
Wolf,
the
or whatever his
entire
name
Yeah.
is.
Well, yeah.
yeah. and she basically stomps him to death.
I love
Yeah,
that
that was
part.
pretty badass.
I
You know,
love that part.
but remember, because remember that is a good part, because remember he had taught her that move and the way she killed, because she killed this man with her fingers and hit him in the neck.
Yes, she did.
Yep,
And
she did.
and it was funny because she was saying that that would never work. Remember, because
Yeah.
he
They had
taught
them
her that.
pounding the table, and she was like, "My hand hurts." He was like,
Yeah.
"Keep
That sounds
pounding."
like a Kill Bill move.
Yes, it
Yeah.
was.
Five finger death
And then
punch.
they blew up.
Right.
And she doubted herself. I mean, who I would never believe that, right? Because you're being trained to do this, and you're told this can save your life, this will kill somebody. Well, you can kill somebody without even with me. And as a woman, okay, yes, of course, people can choke somebody, but it'd probably be kind of difficult for a woman to actually have the strength to choke somebody without them being able to get her, right? So she just in the element hit him in the side of his neck, right? Oh, and I know for because I tried to find the spot, 2 inches below the earlobe. 2 inches below the earlobe. If you hit that person, and I guess it has to be with the strength, which is why he wanted her to strengthen her hands. But number one, you would never think you would ever have to use something like that, right? And
Mm.
she was put with the perfect opportunity to do it. And so it was her and this killer, and she used that move. And I guess after you do that, and the guy even told her when he was training her, after you do that, you kick them in the nuts. And what that does is make them take that last breath that's needed to kill them. So that happened, and I thought that was a good way to
Awesome part.
get, yeah.
You're like, oh yeah,
Yeah.
finally revenge.
But you know what I loved about it though? It was still believable. Like, you
Yeah,
have these things in books that are like, yeah, right, that could never happen. But after seeing how badass she was, oh, I believed it. I believed that she could actually kill a man
It's
with her fingers.
it's believable because they also showed you her human side. Like
Yeah.
when before she jumped out of the plane, she lost her lunch, you
Yeah.
know.
Yeah.
And
Yeah,
the,
exactly.
yeah, so yeah,
Yeah. It was
she's very humanized. She wasn't
Mhm.
like
Yeah, she wasn't Superwoman, you know,
yeah,
even though
what's the
she
word?
was, but you know, to me she was, but they didn't, it wasn't like she had superpowers or anything, but everything that she did, she was trained to do. And it's just when you're in combat training, I don't think you ever think you're going to use anything, which is why when you're in training, you're like, really, do I really need to do this? But there is a reason for everything, and I'm sure she learned the importance of it, many times throughout the future after that training.
yeah.
Gabby, do
It
you have
was
a
just
favorite part so far?
she got mute again.
Yeah, I know.
Just she's poking right now. She's gonna hit it in
Yeah,
a second.
she probably doesn't have. Um, yeah, I just, and there was I mean, and it's funny because as I'm sitting here saying I have a lot of favorite parts, and you guys are bringing up the parts, I'm like, yeah, that's another favorite part. So it was full of. But
It's good.
Rian, I know
Yes.
this is your book, but what was your favorite part?
It's hard. It is really hard for me to choose. And when you guys are bringing up the more serious stuff that like made you cry and everything, I'm like, okay, yeah, I might change my mind. Because when she did kill Wolf, that Nazi dude in the elevator,
Mhm.
um, that is one of my favorite parts. But I
Yeah.
also love when she outdrank the Gaspar guy that she
Yeah.
wasn't getting along with.
Uh-huh.
Um, because when my memory goes back to the book, I tend to focus on those moments when she earned the respect, like when she
Yeah.
stood in front of the French guys and told them if anybody, if they don't give her privacy
Yeah.
outdoors when she's, you know,
Oh yes,
She's gonna
when
that
shoot
she
she
him.
was gonna
Yeah.
shoot them.
Yeah. Yeah. And I think they believed her. I
Well,
think
she
they
meant it.
Yeah. Well, I like when they remember when she had Gaspar's guys stripped all she sent them
Oh
all,
yeah, because
made
they
them
were
all
wearing
leave
the brown
yeah.
shirt
Uh-huh.
uniforms.
She
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 wasn't
made them
having
all
it.
stripped and left. They all had to leave in their underwear.
Yeah.
Yes,
I,
I love that
that
part.
was
I
funny.
laughed and laughed.
I actually
Oh,
thought he would be more of a problem than he was, but I think he actually ended up respecting her as well.
Did his heart
yeah.
was in the right place in terms of
Yeah,
he was fighting on the right side,
right.
but
But
he
he
was
was
one of
just,
those super macho, I know what's
Mhm.
best, women sit down, one of those
Yeah,
Yeah, he
type
was a
of guys.
toxic male.
yeah,
He was
Oh, yeah.
yeah,
toxic. Thank you.
yeah.
He
That
also
was it.
butchered that guy.
Yeah,
Remember?
Yeah,
Oh
that
yeah,
was
she put a
that
stop to
was
that.
too
yeah.
They were
far
just
for
having too
sure.
much fun torturing, and that's when you turn into what you're trying to fight. When you find yourself,
Yeah, well said, well said.
yeah, you turn into what you're trying to fight against, and she recognized that and put the guy out of his misery.
What did you guys think? Do you guys think that her punishment for the guys that had raped the women, um, you know,
Oh,
she
yeah.
had she
When
had
they
them,
were killed,
yeah, she had
I
them
think
killed
that was
because
like
they
a
raped the
war
women.
crimes thing. I think it was more about what was the law inside of war rather than her own personal decision. I don't know if that makes sense.
So that okay, so because I mean, I just was like, damn, they gotta. I mean, no, don't get me wrong, because they did rape and do wrong. They did do wrong to
They
those
kidnapped
women
them.
and raped.
They
Yeah, and
kidnapped
so,
them.
but nowadays we wouldn't just be
You go to
shooting people in
trial
the head.
or something.
Yeah,
But I
yeah,
think
you
the
go to
laws
jail.
were different when you were in war, like you were
Mhm.
actively in a
Yeah,
war,
right.
versus like when you were maybe like just a civilian and you raped someone.
Yeah, yeah. Well, that I think it was a good sign. I think it was a good step because I don't think that was it was fair that the citizens, which it happened in Vietnam, it happens in a lot of wars where
It
come
does.
they they rape the women and all that stuff. So putting a stop to it in that way, I'm glad that that was something that was done so that other people would know you get caught doing that, you will, because we're supposed to be helping people, not kidnapping and raping people. So
Yes, I agree. And she put a stop to this earlier on in the book. She also put a stop to them stealing from the
the
farms from their
farms,
own
because
people.
Right.
they were going stealing their
But
food.
yeah, it was who are you if you come out of
Yeah,
that and you've lost your humanity?
yeah, yeah, that's so true. Yeah, and she did it in a way too. She was like, I will pay you so that you can buy food. Remember when she was like, I will give
Yeah.
you rations. Stop stealing from these people. You'll buy the food from them. And and I thought that was a
Also, the
fair.
crimes they were committing put them in danger because they needed the countrymen on their side. Just
Yes,
in case Nazis were close, they needed, someone might come
yes,
running. But if you've been stealing and raping them, they're not going to come
yeah,
tell you, we
helping,
heard that
yeah,
Nazis are on their way. So you
right,
may
yeah,
be ambushed or something like
yeah,
that. So you needed to treat them right so
yeah.
that you and your soldiers would stay out of danger.
So true. Yeah, right.
I
Yeah,
don't know if she would have gained that much respect and prestige if she didn't have that British money backing her.
yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
But
but
it was
hey,
her. Remember, it was her money. Remember?
well,
I don't
weren't
know
the
that.
yeah, but the
I don't.
British were doing all those drops and
Yeah,
bringing
no,
the
it
weapons.
wasn't her money. I don't think, because her money did come with the 50 that when she paid the guard to get her friend out of prison, because that was her husband's money, right? But at
Mhm.
at some point, the husband and the city that they lived in, remember, everything was ruined. The businesses, the companies, all of that stuff was gone. So she didn't, when she was in the depths of running this army, she didn't have communication with her husband again. She didn't have money. The money was coming from the what is it? Whoever was doing those drops.
The British.
Yeah, I think it was coming from them. I don't think that was her. And not that she wouldn't have given her money if she had it, but she
Agreed.
didn't
Yeah.
have the money. She didn't have it anymore. I remember even when she went to the lockbox to get the money after she got back there, the money was gone. She had nothing.
Yeah.
So yeah. But yes, this was awesome. All right. Anything
Well,
else, Rianne?
Ooh,
no, I was going to ask that too. Is there anything else from the book that you want to bring up?
I think we I
I
do
love
just
that she brought the poison. You remember when she
Oh,
brought the poison to the bar and said, "Wait, if you ever see
yeah.
that guy, that detective,
Mm-hmm.
that guy,
Yeah.
put this in his drink."
Yeah.
Mhm.
Did she ever do
I
that?
loved that
Did
part.
that guy ever die? I don't remember.
I don't know. She never saw him because she never went back after.
Yeah, I know that was I wonder if the guy, but I will tell you this. I truly believe if that detective if he ever went into that bar that man because that man he was a good friend to her too, the bartender guy, the bar
Yeah.
owner. I believe that he would have put the poison in his drink if he ever did come in there. But that's a little loose end.
Yeah, I
But
also love the bartender. I really
mhm.
liked
He
him.
was cool.
Yeah. Yeah. That's what I'm saying. There was a lot of loyalty on a lot of different levels, and I thought that that was a great touch to the book. And a lot of, not, I don't know that she really had much betrayal. Um, I'm trying to think what happened to her friend,
Which friend? Oh, the girl.
the friend that was
Remember
the rich,
Stephanie?
yeah,
the poor
her
sad girl who
husband.
had to go off with her husband who ended up he was supplying the Nazis, remember? And they had to
Right.
flee and she chose to go with him.
Oh,
And she
yes.
Is that
sat
the
down in the
lady who
cafe and
trained her?
talked to her.
Who-
Yeah. Do you remember that scene? And Stephanie still left with her husband rather
Husband,
than
yeah. Yes,
yeah.
because they found out he was a traitor. Yeah.
Yeah, he was supplying the Nazis with some things and they were
Okay.
after him like they were at the train station trying to flee
Right. And she ran into her
and she
there.
went with
Yes.
them.
Okay. So we don't really know what happened to her.
After that,
No.
no, they didn't ever
No,
say what happened.
no, Gabby, this was the one in the beginning. Remember in the beginning when they took a trip and that's where Nancy met her husband at that
Mhm.
it was her friend that took her on the
And she
she
taught
Oh,
her French. She taught her how to be French, actually.
yeah.
That's who
Yeah.
yeah,
taught her.
She was
It's
married
yeah.
to
Stephanie.
a countess, or what is it? Was it a count? A
Account.
The
count? A
count.
count.
Yeah.
Yeah,
The
she was
count.
married to the count. Yeah.
Okay,
And
yeah, that's the one I remember. Okay.
yeah, and he
Yeah.
ended up being a betrayer. So
So yeah, but we don't know ultimately what
what
happened to
happened to
her
them
in
at
the
the end?
end. No.
Yeah. They just left. Yeah. Yeah. All right. That was it. Anybody else have anything? That was a good one. I forgot about those stuff. But this book had so many different things in it. I just think I'm ready to are we ready to rate, obviously?
Oh, yeah. Let's go through and give it a rating.
And all right, well, I'll go first.
Good job.
Um, because this is the first time that I've ever given a book a 5, right? I don't,
Yeah.
yeah, this is the first time, and I give this one a 5, because it's just there. I mean, I'm sure that you can tell. I mean, just from us discussing it and how I'm all the things that I've shared about it, I just love the book, and I would definitely recommend it. Even for those that because some people may not read when you go through your books and you're looking you see like history, what is it,
Historical
historical
fiction.
fiction, yeah.
Mhm.
People are like, I don't read historical fiction, but sometimes you might be surprised by the types of fiction that are out there, and these things did happen to us as humans, period. I don't care, it's not a race thing, it's just
Mhm.
it happened to humans. And when you see, I've read a lot of Nazi books and Hitler books, and the what happened in the Jewish camps, which is another um, favorite genre of mine that I like to read about, just because these things happen to real people, and it was sad. But it's definitely worth the read. And if you can't finish it, then at least you gave it a try. But I do definitely recommend this read to anybody who just wants a good read, period, regardless of what the genre is. All right.
Okay, Trish, what do you give it?
I give it a 5. I think it's a good, interesting book. The historical fiction, not normally my genre, because I don't tend to like when it's like real thing, because then the end is already predetermined. But I think it's a really good thing to have this kind of book where a strong heroine who basically is a badass.
Yeah. Definitely.
was real.
Mm-hmm.
So I would recommend this to people who want to see that kind of person in real life.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Yeah. And Cynthia.
Cynthia?
Yes, I also would have to give this book a 5 for all the same reasons that you ladies have given it a 5. For me, this book had it all, from the great character, the wonderful plot. It was well written as well. It had everything from mystery and suspense to love story. It had it all. And that's why I have recommended this book already and shared it with some friends to read, because this book, no matter what your usual genre is, I think it'll give you a little bit of what you like somewhere in this book.
Okay.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Good. That's a
I'm
good way of putting
also.
it.
Oh, I'm sorry.
No, it's your turn to talk. Go for it.
No, I was just gonna say I also enrolling with a 4 right now, being that I didn't make it all the way to the end, but it's definitely a captivating book, and I like everything so far that I've gotten to, and you guys just made me want to make it to the end a lot sooner.
Yeah, and
Faster,
you remember, Gabby, and it's because remember I did the same thing with the song yet
yes,
unsung, and
yes,
I did it, and
yeah,
I did the same thing. And after our discussion, I was like, oh no, I gotta go read it now. I really gotta go read it. So,
yeah.
and finish it all the way through. So yeah.
And I
So
wasn't deterred, but I'm just a crazy person that cross reads like a fool.
yeah.
I don't know how I cross read as much as I do, but I'm a
I don't
cross
know how
reader, and
you do
things
that
just
either. I cannot do that. Some people can. I cannot. I have to be finished with the book before I start a new one. It's just too,
yeah, it
yeah.
might be my my
Yeah.
something coming out, but I don't know. I cross read a lot sometimes,
Yeah.
but yeah, I definitely will be finishing that out. Great book.
Awesome. Awesome.
Well, it's obviously a 5 out of 5 for me because I promise if I bring a book to the table, it's going to be a 5-star book from my side.
Good job.
Yay. Well, great job, Brianne. Thank you. Thank you for
You
the
are
great
so welcome.
discussion questions. You did a great job. I
Yes, thank you
loved
so
it.
much. This was
Thank
truly
you.
awesome.
Yes, yes. So, all right. Well, listeners, our time has come for our next book selection. So, if you would like to, join us for our next book review and read along with us, and um, put your comments about what you thought about the book on our YouTube channels, you can do that. This month's selection is going to be from our beautiful Trisha. Trisha's going to give us her book selection and the author and a little bit about it if you would like, Trisha. That's it's on you, sweetheart.
Okay, I decided on Superpowered Year One. The book is about a world where powers are real, where you can be either super, which basically means you have a power that you can control. You can be human, which means you don't have a power, or you can be powered, which means you can't control your power. This is a longer book. It is it is a series book. This is the first one in the series, and the author's name is Andrew Hayes.
Okay. All right. All right. So where, and this is on Bard and Audible and everything.
Yeah.
Okay.
Do you
Andrew,
mind repeating the title?
Super powered.
Superpowers. Okay.
and then Hayes, and Andrew Hayes, right?
Yeah.
All right.
Okay.
So that is our next selection. And that's the beauty about having a book club, is that different genres, different things are brought to us. And that's why I try to encourage us all to pick what we want to pick, because it opens us up for different genres and different books and different authors. So thank you, Trish. So we'll look forward to that. All right, ladies, thank you all again so much. I think that you guys, our discussion was, as always, a great discussion. The book was great. I'm looking forward to meeting again next month for our book discussion, but I do also want to remind our listeners that of our BVI author book discussions that we will be having. So if anybody is interested in joining us at the table for that book review, please email us, or if you are an author and would like for us to discuss your book while you are here at the table with us, we would love to do that too. info@blindtabletalk.com. And that is all I have, ladies. What about y'all? Anybody final words?
Thanks for joining us.
Yes, thank you all so much.
Happy reading.
Yeah.
Hope everyone is safe and warm.
Oh my
yes.
gosh, we're not even talking about that. Yes, please stay warm, everybody. Yes, that's an important thing. Thank you all.
Yes.
Drop us a like.
Yes.
Share this with a friend.
Blind Table Talk, yeah.